Hi and welcome back to PracticalStudent.com. Today we're starting a sequence of videos on the 2016 ordinary level project, which is this apparatus which you can see here. So basically you turn the propeller on, it spins and causes the plane to fly in the opposite direction. So if this propeller is spinning the correct direction, it should turn around this way, causing the plane to come around here. There are a few laid pieces on this. The body here is kind of tricky to mark out. Nothing hugely complicated, but a little bit trickier maybe than normal. This laid piece here in the center is a little bit difficult, but again, nothing major. And this bar is just, it's awkward to get it into the shape here at the end that it curves around and to get it to match up there. But we'll show you how to do all those things. The only design thing you had to do in this was to design a base for the project to sit on. You didn't get any drawings for this section. I'll probably build something just like this out of wood, probably. I think it's handiest. And in the drawing you were told, we'll say, to buy this little knob up in the top, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one on the lathe and call it part of the design process as well. So other than that, there's nothing too exciting. There's no major electronics in this. A switch attached to the motor. It's as simple as that. And there'll be a battery holder obviously in there somewhere. It goes underneath here actually. So I think we'll get started on marking out part one. Right, so this is the drawing for part one, the aircraft body. It's made from 1.5mm aluminium. It looks quite complicated and it's actually not too bad once you get going and you start working your way around it. You need a piece of metal that is at least 164 wide and 177 high. This piece of metal that I have here is bigger than that, and I know that this bottom left hand corner is 90 degrees and I've set it up so that is going to be my datum corner for measuring things out. Probably the most important line, the line you should draw first, is this center line. It's really important and you can do a lot of work off that. So we're going to get that first. So I want to measure the width of my piece. If I remember correctly, it's 170 wide. So we want half of that. Half of 70 is 35. Half of 100 is 50. 50 plus 35 is 85. So I'm going to mark that as my halfway. I'm going to T-square that line up as far as I can. The T-square won't go all the way up the piece, but I'll be able to finish it off with a ruler if I'm careful. So I'm just going to finish that line up to the top now with the ruler. Right, so we're going to start with the bottom section first. I'll try and put this over to the side a little so you can see it. So we want to do this section around here. So these 2 points are 45 away from the center line and they go up 10. So we can T-square lines up there a bit. And this point here is 10 up from the bottom on the center line. So I'm going to measure out 45 first of all on both sides. 45 here and 45 this way. T-square lines up, and I only need to go up just about 10 millimeters or so, so I'll try and make sure I overdo that. It's better to be too long than too short. And these 3 points here are at 10 millimeters from the base. So I'm going to measure 10 up this side over here, anywhere, and T-square that line across. And I'm actually just going to mark those 3 lines at that height. That's all we need to do. Now we can draw 2 lines at the base here. So we want to go from here down to the bottom. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Better to do it this way. And this is all waste that will be cut off later on. I'll use the bandsaw, you'll have to use a regular saw. Now, can we go from here to here? Well, we know it's up 30, but we can't find this line yet. So I think maybe finding this line here might be the handiest thing. So from the center line, these points are 19 away. So I'm going to measure along the bottom, 19 from the center line. So I'm starting at 140. If I measure 19 out here, I get 159. And then 121 on this side. And T-square those lines up to about here. Oh, actually I only have to cut the bottom two lines, so that's fine. So we've got the bottom point here. Now we want to get this point. So we can see it's out 22 from the center line and up this far. So that's 10 plus 20 plus 20, which is 50, plus 60 is 110. So I'm going to measure up 110. T-square that line across. Only really need it in the middle, but we need it quite a bit out on either side. And I need 22 from the center line either way. And then we can join those points back to here. I should push that up so as you can see. So we're joining here now to here. Now these are going to be bend lines, but I'm going to draw them in solid because we need them solid in places. Okay, now we can finish off this bottom section. We're told here in the drawing that these points are 30 up from the bottom. So I'm going to measure up 30. Anywhere over to the side. And I'm going to T-square and just mark those those lines that we did there a second ago. Do we need any more information from that? We actually do, because these two holes are on that line, so I'm going to finish that all the way across. And there we go. And now this line, this point, joins up to there. And we have the bottom section done. We're not going to worry about these holes till later on, so we'll leave those at the minute. The next big thing we need is the wing going across here, the base of the wing, and that is at 50 millimeters up, 10 plus 20 plus 20. Measure up 50 up the side. And we're going to T-square that line, and it goes a lot of the way across. And it may go further than I can draw here with my T-square, so I'm going to finish it off with the ruler. Now, so we have a radius here, radius 7, and then we have a tangent from the top here of the diagonal that we did back down to that. So I think these circles are important. So we need to find this center. It's 7 millimeters radius, so that means it's 7 millimeters above this line. I think we'll do that first. So that would be 57 from the bottom corner. Mark that. Use my T-square again. Just going to draw the line there, and a bit of it here, which I'll be able to finish off with my ruler. Now the next thing we need is the dimension out. So it's 45 plus 21 plus 9 to the centre. 9 plus 21 is 30, plus 45 is 75. So from the centre we measure 75 both directions. So I'm putting 75 on the centre line. That means I can mark the end of the ruler here. And then double 75, which is 150, I can mark on the other side. You want to T-square those up. Now I could have done that up here as well, which probably would have been a little bit quicker. That's my centre there. On this top second line. Sorry, the timer ran out on the camera there, so you didn't really miss much. I T-squared the line up from the marks, and where they crossed this 7 up line, I just centre punched both of those points there. So here and here. So continuing on, I'm going to set 7 millimeters on my dividers, the radius of the curve, and draw a bit more than half a circle at both of these points. And now we can draw a tangent from this point to that circle. The easiest way to do a tangent, put your scriber on the point that's stationary, put your ruler up against it, and slide the ruler around until it just touches the circle, and draw your line. And there you get a tangent. So again, point on the your scriber on the stationary point, put your ruler up against it, slide the ruler until it just touches the circle. Like so. So we're coming along nicely here. So next now we have this top section that we want to do. These are tangents to this circle up here, and they come from this point. We have these 2 points, so we really only need to find this circle. So we need to find the centre here, which is up all of this distance on the centre line. 1660 is 120 plus 50 is 170. So up the centre line, 170. Mark that. And while I'm here, I might as well mark for this other hole, because that's only 40 down from that, so we know that's at 130. And is there anything else I can do quickly now? This one is level with those. We already have that. And then 30 up from there. That's the 50 one. So 80. That's one. And they're all the ones we have in the centre line. So I'm going to centre punch the 3 of those. Four of those. Sorry. Losing count. And my dividers is already set to 7 from the last semicircle. Right. So I'm going to draw in this one as well. So again, tangents to that circle. And we have the outline of our plane completed. We have 3 of the holes marked for it. There's going to be a drill hole here. Now it says 5.5 in the drawing, and I know my switch is 6.5. So do check, be careful with that one. All of the others are 3.5. So we have a 3.5 here and here. Now, we have two more holes here. They're on the line between those, this line here. The first one is 7 across from the center line, and the second one is 10 more after that. So on this line, I'm just going to mark across 7 and then 17 from the center line. So there's 7 and 17. I'm going to punch both of those. Just draw a little circle so that I don't get confused later on. And we have four more holes to do. These ones down here. Okay, so we know 2 of them are on a line we already have, this one, and the second 2 are on this line here, which is 14 up from the bottom. So I'm just going to draw that one, the line in first. So measure 14 up from the bottom. And T-square that line across. That is the line, isn't it? Yep. Now, the marking out might look a little unusual here. It says it's 6 millimeters on both sides from this line here. What that means is that this line is parallel. These 2 holes are not straight above each other. This one is slightly closer to the center than this one. So how do we draw parallel lines? There are multiple ways to do it, but a very handy way is set your ruler up so that the end of the ruler is right up against the edge of the line, and take your time and do this carefully. So somewhere up here near the top we're going to mark 6. I'm going to do the same thing down here. So the line I want to be parallel to, I have the end of my ruler up, lined up as best as possible, and I'm going to mark 6. Further away you can get these 2 points, the more accurate your line is going to be. And now I draw a line between the 2 points, and where it cuts here and here are my 2 holes, which I can punch. So I'm going to do that again on the second side. Just to show you a slightly different way of doing it, might be easier. So I'm going to use the 10 here. If the end of your ruler is damaged, you can do it this way. I'm going to use the 30 line here. This line is lines up with this one. So I'm going to line the 30 up on both sides with the line I want to be parallel to. I'm going to mark 6 here. I'm going to come down here and do the same thing. So I'm going to line up the 30 and then mark the 6 on this side and draw a line between those 2 points. And there we go, we have and that's everything marked out. But I am going to double check. It's not everything marked out. And I know immediately what I forgot to do. So we forgot these 2 bend lines here and here. Easy enough to do. They're 21 plus 45 from the center. That gives you 66 out. So I'm just going to measure 66 from the center line to the left, which is here. And I can do the same on this side. 66. I'm going to T-square those up, if I can find my T-square. I'm going to dash these ones. Hopefully I won't forget them again. Okay, so that took a bit of time to mark out, but it's done now. Right, so all that has to be done now are drilling the holes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them are 3.5, and then I'm going to be drilling this 6.5 or whatever suits your switch. You'll then have to use a saw or some other means like a shears to cut the outline. I'm going to be using the bandsaw, and then it's a case of filing everything down and finally bending it. So everything up to the bending, I'll do that quickly and you'll just be watching it in fast speed. So after a lot of filing, we're now ready to bend the piece. As I always like to point out, you should bend from the middle out where possible, but do think through how you're going to bend something. So as you've seen, I set this to 40 degrees, so we're going to bend it along the middle line first of all. So line up carefully. This is an important bend. Everything will look skew-ways if you don't have this one right. Clamp in place, and we bend to 40 degrees. And there we go, that's 40 degrees. Okay, so now we want to set up to the other bend, but before we do that, these bends come out this way, and then the last bend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just transfer these lines quickly over to the other side. Okay, so I've transferred the lines over from the side we drew on onto this side. Our next issue now is that if we put this in to bend it at 25 degrees, this is stopping the material getting in, so we need to remove this next. Right, so we're set up to 25 degrees now, and we're going to bend along this line here and then this one here. I was dropping stuff. And we've only one more bend to do, which is the 60 degrees here, and that will fit when this is back, so it's best to put it back now before you forget about doing it later on. And there we go. That is part number 1 of this project marked out, bent, drilled, and all it has to be done, a bit of emery paper on the edges to smooth them out a little, clean it up and get it ready for painting. So that's the end of that one. See you for part 2 next, and thanks for watching. Bye.